Britain's history and heritage in watchmaking is unparalleled. From Harrison to Mudge to Daniels to Roger Smith is just over there. It was Britain's race to lose and they lost it. But Britain is coming back in watchmaking, and in this conversation today with three stellar British brands, we are discussing the way that a brand can leverage heritage to build its brand and to lean on the provenance that Britain has over many fledgling watchmaking countries. To my right, I have Luca from Brooklands. What have you brought to the table, sir?
So I brought two different models. So I've got the triple fold Spectrum, which is one, we launched this one in October. And the other piece is the very special Golden Miller racing chronograph.
We're going to get into just how these watches come into this theme shortly. But before then, let's hear from Richard from Fears. What do we have?
We have the Brunswick 38 white and the Arnos pewter blue.
Lovely. Can't wait to hear about how that matches the theme. And lastly, Umir from Wolf. Not watches.
Yeah, but very much related. Today we have our Earth Double Winder and our family of history bookmaking by our CEO, Simon Wolf.
This is a very spicy panel, if I may say, because these are not necessarily centuries-old watch brands. There is different takes on this theme of leveraging heritage to create a brand in the modern day. So let's start with you, Luca. You're not centuries old. You are not even a decade old as a brand.
Correct.
So how does heritage come into the way that you position Brooklands in the modern day? How does it give the brand power?
So for Brooklands Watch Company, heritage is very, very important. So with our timepieces, we want to homage the very rich heritage of Brooklands racetrack, which is Brooklands is the very first racetrack that was built in UK.
The first banked racetrack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So Brooklands Watches want to tell this story with the different designs.
Yep.
So you take the 444, you can see the very, very distinctive features of the bank dial, which is in the very same angle of the Brooklands racetrack.
Umir, tell me about the automotive touches on this watch. What do you see? You're a watch aficionado. I see you wearing a moon watch. Is that a moon watch?
Yeah, it's a reduced Speedmaster. Look,
it is.
I'm sorry to say, but I was really interested in seeing the back of the watch. So, being in the watch industry, the movement, the detailing on the finish, I think this is something that people need to understand and recognize in the British watchmaking industry. We are doing things as good as anyone else in the world, and that's what really stands out for me on this particular piece.
Are you seeing what I'm saying in that rail or rehort, as we say in Australia?
That, as well as you've got that gorgeous copper tone that's really has a history in watchmaking, especially in the UK. You've got that 1940s, 1950s feel.
The brand was founded in 2017. What else are we missing? What are the other automotive touches on here that we missed? So if that was an exam, how do we do?
Another example is that you see the patterns on the strap. This is to recall the tire tread of the cars they used to race at Brooklands.
Yep.
And another subtle details is the counterweight on the chronograph hands. So it's exactly the same as the clock at the villa that was a Brooklands. So they used to have an old clock, and that represents the same sort of design. And on the back, you can find the Master Conrad section of the engine of the Napier Elton. The Napier Elton was a very important car at Brooklands, and we want to commemorate the achievement of that car with a bespoke rotor that Celita made for us. And this is to add as well, it's a Sir Terence Curran design. Sir Terence was obviously very important for British design in general, and he had a particular attachment to Brooklands as well, and is the reason why we were lucky enough for him to agree to collaborate for the design of this watch.
Beautiful. I can see why Umir liked the case back. Really lovely depth in that. We've got an AMT Celita. It is?
It's a Celita's W500.
Yep, but an AMT, which means it's been modified by the brand. It's like an elaborate grade. We have Geneva stripes, you have perlage. It's really lovely. Lovely depth in that. let's talk about Fears. And Fears has no open casebacks on these two models, but you in fact have a few more years under the belt than 8.
So
how many years, Richard? I'm testing you now. The exam is on.
We're founded in 1846, so in November we hit our 179th birthday and our 9th birthday since refounding. So we've got a little bit of an archive and a little bit of a history that we can draw on.
Yeah. And how do you make decisions, and I'm asking you to speak for Nicholas here, about extending that legacy? Because one of the things that you'll see when you come and visit the Time+Tide Discovery Studio in London, you'll see in the Fears display that there are historical models in there. And it must be quite a dilemma. How much do you revive the past exactly as it is? And how much do you give it a contemporary twist?
So for Nicholas, it's not just being a custodian of this history. It's you have almost 2 centuries of cumulative wisdom that you can then pick and choose from. You can learn to see what works, and you can bring things into a contemporary setting, which is just really fantastic for us.
That's trade. Let me ask you then, Luca, are there any British codes that come out to you from Fears watchmaking that you feel are distinctive for a national identity in Britain?
Well, the cushion case is one of the first things that comes to mind, obviously. Cool. And it's very elegant and simple in the best possible way. Yeah. And I think this all is what British design is about. It's about simplicity, functionality, and beauty.
Yes, well said. And one of the themes that's come through all 3 panels has been Britain's refinement of simplicity. And simple is harder than complex. We know that from Steve Jobs. So for Britain to make simple but legible and beautiful and elegant watches is no small feat. And then the Arnos, which is Nicholas's favourite watch, I believe.
It's one of his top few, and inspired by a piece from 1930 from our archive. Yeah. We've got that sweeping case back, but for us it's...
I know, it's a lovely sort of slight camber to the way the case fits your wrist.
But it's got that incredibly contemporary dial in there as well.
Yeah. So in a battle of whose history is the longest, shall we say, how do we go here between these two brands? We have
1846
and
1834.
Oh,
so we've just picked you. So I think Wolf for us, 5 generations, over 190 years. People may look at us and think, what are we doing in this space? And I think, we have a real reason to be in this space. We've been doing what we do, starting with the jewelry industry, then moving into box making. And, if you don't mind, I really wanted to show something from this book. So in the 50s and 60s, Wolf were actually creating the watch boxes for many of the famous watch houses that we know today. So you may see some names, Lecoultre, Omega, and we have this brand here with a crown. Some of you may be aware of it. Never heard of it. No. So, for us,
is it Relax?
Yeah, something like that. Relax, yeah. And people, when we talk about heritage, I think you look at the validation that can give to a brand. Yeah. And for us, I have this earth piece here, which is a double winder. We have the validation of supporting the watch industry in creating the boxes for some of these brands. And now we've evolved over the years to go from making the boxes for the brands to making an instrument that can keep the timekeeping to where it should be for the brands. And that's shown really well with the Earth collection, which is actually Simon's collection. Yeah. So, when we celebrated our 190th anniversary, we launched a collection for each of the generations of the brand. And the Earth collection is Simon's collection because, firstly, it's made from apple pulp leather. So sustainability is a really big feature for Simon. And, and the plan is to use only biomaterials, vegan leather going forward. So this is really the best of everything that we do, whether it's Bluetooth technology, setting turns per day, no matter what watch you have, and we have some amazing watch brands here in the studio today, every single one of them could be kept wound to precision with a Wolf winder. And that's something we're very, very proud of.
It's one of those things I don't know about how you guys feel. As someone that loves watches, I have a lot of watches, have too many watches. And I'm forever thinking, I don't give them a nice house. I just don't. I haven't followed through in all the accoutrements that match the quality of my watch collection. So I always look at the Wolf stuff and I'm like, I'm not treating my watches that well. Do you treat your watches well at home?
Not as well as.
Look, I think we've all put watches in the sock drawer at some point, or we've put them in places where we shouldn't do, and that for us, protect your legacy is a real big messaging for us.
It's a nice one. Yeah.
These watches, these timepieces, they may be an heirloom, they may go down, be passed along. So you would really want to look after them, and that's exactly what we're here to do, to look after everything.
And I when I see the pictures of those vintage watch boxes, I actually get a very strong olfactory memory actually, because I was with Simon at Wolf at the manufacturer, the headquarters, and I was steering the conversation to tell me about your great grandfather, tell me about your grandfather, tell me about your father, and he jumped around very dynamically in his office, and he was grabbing random stuff from everywhere, creating a little pile, and half of them hadn't been opened. He was dusting them off, and it was just the very real sense of history in the room. And it is true that an authentic link with something that speaks to a different time in watchmaking is quite powerful. And I think Nicholas is driven by something that is bigger than his own ambition, isn't it? It's a sense of continuing a legacy.
For us, it's about being a custodian of a shared history. He's the 6th generation. There are 3 previous managing directors. His grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, and 3rd great-grandfather. So to be able to have that and items from the archive, including some fantastic boxes as well as watches on display. They're not quite as good as the Midnight Blue here. That is fantastic, but the 40s and 50s had some pretty fantastic watch boxes as well. So.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for enriching this topic. I mean, we have every possible angle on heritage here. We have a brand that's not 10 years old that is commemorating a racetrack that has tremendous history and importance in the UK. We have a watch brand from the 19th century, and then a watch box brand from the 19th century that has evolved into watch carry, but also has a stunning history with a jewelry box.
Exactly.
My 3 daughters are about to arrive, and I know that if there was a ballerina jewelry box here, that I'd be in trouble because I'd be going home with 3. So look, Britain, heritage, leveraging that heritage in different ways. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And if you are interested in more about these brands, stay tuned to Time+Tide. All 3 of them have a presence here in the studio. Come and see us. Thanks again, gentlemen.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Amazing. See you on the next one.